Have you ever been so exhausted that you could barely keep your eyes open on the couch, and then the second you get into bed, you were wide awake? If that's happened to you, you've experienced the exact thing that I want to explain today because it confuses almost everyone. And often it makes people feel like their body is broken or working against them when it's not. So, tired and sleepy are two completely different things. And mixing them up is one of the most common reasons people feel so lost about their own exhaustion. My name is Masha, and I'm founder of Restful Sleep. We've talked about the three systems behind sleep and what nervous system regulation actually means. And today, I want to name this specific confusion directly because once you can tell the difference, a lot of your nighttime experience will start making a lot more sense. Now, fatigue is the feeling of being worn out, physically, mentally, emotionally depleted. It's real and it builds throughout your day from work, stress, decision making, physical effort, emotional load, all of it. Now, sleepiness is different. Sleepiness is your body's actual readiness to fall asleep, driven mainly by that sleep pressure we talked about a couple of videos back. The adenosine building up the longer you're awake, combined with your circadian rhythm signaling that it's the right window for sleep. Now, here's the part that trips people up. You can be extremely fatigued without being sleepy. You can also be sleepy without feeling particularly fatigued, which is a different problem for a different day. But the fatigued without sleepy combination is the one that wrecks people because it feels like it should mean that you're ready for bed, and then your body proves otherwise the second you lie down. And this is where the third system comes back in, the nervous system arousal piece from a couple videos ago. Sleep pressure can be maxed out. Your circadian rhythm can be perfectly timed. And if your nervous system is still activated, still in that sympathetic gear, none of that pressure or timing matters. Arousal overrides sleepiness. It doesn't matter how tired the rest of you is if the part of you responsible for detecting safety hasn't gotten the signal that it's okay to relax. This is often called being tired and wired, and it's one of the most common experiences chronic poor sleepers describe. So you can be bone tired all day, and then a strange second wind hits you the moment that you're finally horizontal and still. And that's not a coincidence, and it's not in your head. Lying down and going still is often the first moment all day that your nervous system has to process what it's been holding. And for a dysregulated system, that processing shows up as alertness, not as rest. A lot of people respond to this by trying to get even more exhausted, maybe doing longer workouts, less rest during the day, staying busy until they physically collapse, hoping that sheer depletion will finally force sleep to happen. And sometimes that works for a night or two. Long term, it usually backfires because you're adding more fatigue on top of a nervous system that's still stuck in the same activated state. So you end up exhausted and wired at the same time, which is worse than having either one of them alone. This is also why just push through and you'll eventually sleep isn't reliable for chronic insomnia. It might work occasionally through sheer physical collapse, but it doesn't address the actual gap, which is between how tired your body is and how ready your nervous system is to let go. So a few signs point towards fatigue without real sleepiness. So your eyes feel heavy, but your mind is still going. You yawn a lot during the day, but feel wide awake once you're actually in bed. You might feel like you could sleep anywhere except your own bed. Maybe that's the couch, in the car, or at your desk. But the moment it's time for real sleep, something shifts and you're alert again. That last one is a particularly good tell because it points to a learned association between your actual bed and alertness, which ties back to that conditioned arousal pattern from the neurocognitive model I mentioned in the last video. Your body has learned that bed means trying and effort, and it means staying alert to see if it's working. Now, closing the gap between fatigue and real sleep readiness isn't about getting more tired. It's about addressing the nervous system piece directly so that when sleep pressure and circadian timing are both in place, your body can actually act on them instead of overriding them with alertness. And this is where some of the practical tools come in. The somatic practices I mentioned in the last video, and the CBTI techniques that specifically rebuild the association between your bed and sleep instead of your bed and lying awake. And both approaches are aimed at the same target, closing that gap between how tired you are and how able you are to actually sleep. So, if you've ever felt like your exhaustion and your ability to sleep are somehow two separate things fighting each other, that might be an accurate read of what's actually happening in your body. Fatigue and sleep readiness run on two different systems, and being exhausted has never been a guarantee that your nervous system is ready to let go. So, coming up, I'm going to start walking through the actual tools, starting with the specific somatic practices that help close that gap, because understanding the problem is only useful once you know what to do with it. And if you've experienced this, specifically the falling asleep anywhere except your bed part, tell me so in the comments. I want to know how common that specific one is amongst you. And if you want to start working with these tools now instead of waiting for the next video, there is a self-paced course and lots of free resources linked below. I'll see you in the next video.